On Wednesday, September 17, 1975 at 7:05 p.m., Dannion Brinkley was struck by lightning during a thunderstorm. Today, Dannion helps our terminally ill servicemen and women in many ways through the foundation he created called the Twilight Brigade. This includes helping them to the afterlife when it's time.
This is Dannion Brinkley. I have been dead, but I am back.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dannion Brinkley. You've been dead before. Nice to see you on the living side.
It's always a joy to see you, and it's also a joy to see every one of you. It's so nice to realize that how strange and wondrous we are, the people of the night. You know, we who watch this and who follow this and are a part of this. It's pretty amazing.
What are you holding in your hand there?
Well, you know, this whole story about Dannion started in 1975, George. And so that means this September will be 50 years. I have been out here campaigning to the fact that you will not die. And if anybody who thinks you're going to die, that makes you dumb. It will never frickin' happen. And the other thing is this, if I didn't go to hell, there's very little chance any of you will go. So what I'd like to do is...
He's telling the truth on that one.
I'm from South Carolina, everybody. Okay, so what I'd like to do is to dedicate my part of this show to Mel Standing. This is somebody whose present-day wife was at the bedside in 1975. And Mel has been with me, helping me for 46 years. And I just like to donate this to it and read this from his book. And it's Mel Standing, and the book is A Life Most Magical. And I think it's a point that we should all follow. It says, at the time of the lone wolf is over, we must gather ourselves and banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. Because everything that must be done now must be done in a sacred and traditional manner. I believe that Coast to Coast is that family. And I believe that the coming together, what George does and what Tommy, who works his can off, does, and what everybody does, is so important. And I have been a part of this family for 34 years. I've been on Coast to Coast for 34 years. I am you and you are me, and my whole story is simple, everybody. Nobody's gonna die. It's just not gonna happen. And so when I was asking George what to talk about, he said, that's stuff you always talk about. Well, what I'd like to do is, if I could look at the cultural legacy of the near-death experience, that in 50 years, from Raymond's book to right now among us, we of the night, what would be the cultural legacy? Number one, you will never die. It's never going to happen. And every way everybody tells you you're going to die, that's not going to happen either. And all the reasons you've heard, and all the religions and institutions and governments and all that stuff that even comes up with the term that you're dead, it's never going to happen. Number two, 95% of all the people who've had a near-death experience says they lifted out of their body, they watched their body, they watch it in the bed, they watch it at the hospital, they watch it in the car wreck, and they're watching that body. The amazing thing is that people haven't stopped for a moment and realized if you are looking at it and you're observing it, how in the heck could you be it? You cannot be lifted out of your body and looking at your body and be your body. So when you listen to what the near-death experience says, the moment that the out-of-body experience comes, and we were hearing it earlier about dreams, George, the moment that out-of-body experience comes, you're no longer there. So people say, well, wait a minute, I had to be my body because that's the only thing I know, and then I got back in my body, and I had to be my body, and you keep relating to being your body when you have a situation and a story that tells you that it's just not true. And you think that we get up from the dead and been dead as many times as I've been dead? Like I've been dead so many times it's like a comedy routine. And I've been a hospice volunteer for 48 years. And I study this. George knows that everybody says, well, what does Dannion like to talk about? Death, politics, and religion. People of the night, George, we like to talk about all that too, don't we?
Are you afraid of dying anymore?
No. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen because the fact that you're not this body, and there's a body of evidence that says that you're not this body, then what and who are you? You're the solid, liquid, or a gas. If you're going to get back to being physical, you're solid, liquid, and a gas. Okay, and a lot of people are gas, but because of quantum, we have another theory. It's called plasma. So when you start looking at that body, that being or entity that's looking down at that body, then it has a name in quantum mechanics that can be measured in a physical existence. You have to fudge a little bit, but you can fudge it, called plasma. And then that would make us electrical. It would make us electrical. And so then you stop and say, well, I don't need more proof. How much electricity does it take to make your heart beat? 0.45 milliamps. And that's what your heart has to have to beat. What if it's in milliamps, everybody? What is that? What is the name of that measurement? Electrical. So the near-death experience brings us this opportunity to study it and to look at it.
What's it like to get hit by lightning?
It hurts like hell. Okay?
Knock you out right away?
But I'm sitting like this talking on the phone. Lightning comes down the phone line, it goes down my spine, welds the nails of the heels of my shoes to the nails in the floor and throws me in the air. Suspends me in the air and slams me back down. I am burning and on fire like battery acid, every nerve, and I have this ball of fire came through the room and I couldn't see. I couldn't see. I wore welder's glasses for 2 years. That's why I wanted to dedicate it to Melvin. He came along, and when I needed so much help, George, learning to walk again and not stabbing myself in the face with my fork and things that to keep going, to keep trying to get better, he was always there. So thanks again, Mel.
And then you got hit again by lightning.
Well, I didn't learn the first time. So, when you're from the deep South, George, and it's 1975, and you have something happen to you that did not have a frickin' name. Raymond hadn't published Life After Life. The near-death experience didn't have a name. And I had one. I lifted out of my body, went down a tunnel, came to this place of life. Any place that I was better than where I left, because where I left was paralyzed, burning and on fire and blind. And where I was going to, I was noticing that you don't breathe, but you pulse. There's a pulse that you're riding a wave. There's consistency in the movement, and it's been there every time of these 3 death and 3 near-death experiences. So, and to come into these places of built of light and knowledge, and to have a higher opinion of yourself, and I, being an arrogant, pompous ass, have a very high narcissistic opinion of myself, until you get over there. And the opinion you have of yourself is 1 billion times bigger than any narcissistic thought opinion you can have about yourself, because you are a spiritual being. So, and then to witness the future, Saved by the Light. Anybody's read Saved by the Light? I wrote down the things in 1977 that happened in the near-death experience.
That was a TV show, a movie?
Okay, yeah. 1995, they did a movie. It's now a turning movie classic. Listen, the near-death experience has aged gracefully like us, everybody. And it's now time to revisit it. And I'll tell you why. I'm a baby boomer. You're born between 1940 and 1967. One of us passes every 2 minutes. One of us passes every 2 minutes. And if we don't take a good hard look at death, and we don't formulate new structures and opinions, the moral decay of a nation is witnessed. The suicide rate among children, the suicide rate among veterans and active duty. Think about this. So I've been out here so long to get the people to stop and realize nobody's going to die. Get over it, it's not going to happen. And when you start to get to thinking about that you're going to die, think about this, everybody. How far away from death are you? A half a freaking breath. You're 1/2 a breath away from here. So what is life? It's just a breathing exercise. Because if you didn't automatically take the next breath, how important would it be right now for the next breath? See, you get me. We're spiritual beings.
When you died, did you witness heaven? Did you witness hell? What did you witness? You were a tough Marine, I understand.
I was worse than that. I was, you're a tough guy, play sports, get the girls, go to Myrtle Beach. I mean, come on. I grew up in the 60s and the 70s. If you could fight, okay, tough guy. And then sports, and then the Marine Corps. But hell is a state of mind that you think something can take control of you based on an action you took. You think that something can condemn you and burn you and shape you and cut you, and it's like reading Dante's Inferno. That's never going to be true. When I came back, George, because I always thought, people have been telling me I was going to hell since I'm like 4. And by the time I was 25, everybody knew I was going to hell. And I was reinforcing it, Well, when I didn't go to hell, George, come on. You think I'm not going to get interested? You kill me, I get really interested in the subject matter. And you kill me 2 or 3 times, I'm going to get really interested in it. So when you think about a hellish experience, it's facing yourself in what's called a life review. Okay, the other part of the near-death experience is you will see your whole life pass before you. You'll watch it from a second-person point of view as though you were your own best friend. And you'll literally become every person that you've ever come in contact with. And you will feel the direct results of your interaction between you and that person. It's not what you thought you did. It's what happened. So the lesson in that is always paying attention to why you're doing something.